Christian friends. Welcome to Tuesday's lesson, Righteous Indignation. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, that when God gets angry, he doesn't just get even. His anger is a method. God's wrath is a method. It's calculated to bring about change. It's calculated to bring about reconciliation, reformation. It's calculated to put things right. Again, it's righteous. God doesn't get angry and destroy things. He destroys, if he ever gets to the point where he is going to destroy something, it is because it is deserved. And number two, he will bring something better in its place. That's the God we serve. Well, we're looking at righteous indignation today, and we see it in the New Testament. We've been talking about the Old Testament and the fact that our God is a God who has righteous anger. And that his love is sometimes expressed in how upset he gets at sin and injustice. Well, today we see the same is true of his son, Jesus Christ. He's just like his daddy. He gets upset at stuff that's not right. Let's look at Matthew chapter 21, verses 12 and 13, and then Luke chapter 2, verses 14 and 15. Both of these passages speak to Jesus in the temple. The money changers are there. They're selling all kinds of things in God's temple. They're tricking widows, and they're misusing orphans, and they're basically tricking people out of their money. They're doing people wrong, and they have made the Lord's house a den of thieves, a den of robbers. Jesus is incensed at this. He folds a cord, a scourge, and begins to drive them out of the Lord's temple. The zeal of God's house had eaten him up in that moment, as the Bible says. Jesus was concerned that unrighteous men were seeking to make his Father's house a place of unrighteousness. For that, he had righteous indignation. We'll also see in this study that when in Mark chapter 10, verses 13 and 14, and then Mark chapter 3, verses 4 and 5, Jesus offers righteous indignation. In one of these instances, he's in the temple. You remember that from, I think, our last quarter. He's in the temple. Isn't that right? And they bring him a man with a withered hand, and the Pharisees' eyes are trained on him. They're watching to see if he would heal on the Sabbath day. It was the Sabbath day. Jesus looks at them and asks them, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath? And he could tell, they were not going to allow him to do anything good on the Sabbath. And they would try to charge him because of that. Jesus said, well, this man is worth it. His withered hand, his broken body is worth fixing in the house of God on the Sabbath day. And Jesus healed him. He had righteous indignation against those Pharisees because of the hardness of their heart. He's bothered when we get so hard and we get calcified against people. It bothers Jesus, just like it bothered his Father. And it raises his blood pressure. His spiritual temperature goes up because he loves people, and he's expecting people whom he loves to love other people whom he loves. That's our study today, righteous indignation.